To me, enough is enough. They just wanna hurt us, bring us down, bring us down. Enough is enough. We won't let them hurt us, bring us down, bring us down. Enough is enough. You won't bring us down. Bring us down. Enough is enough. They just wanna hurt us. Bring us down. Bring us down. Enough is enough.
Hey guys, welcome back to the Indie Wrestling Corner with another episode of Under the Ropes. I'm your host as always, the queen of the indies, Tiffany. I'm looking forward to this interview because I've been wanting it for a little bit now. So welcome my good friend Brett Ryan Gosselin. How are ya?
I'm doing great, honestly. It hasn't been a terrible day. I'm still wondering if it's going to actually start raining or not.
Hopefully we got rid of the rain.
I'm hoping so. It's been on and off all day.
I know.
One minute I'm getting drenched, the other I'm way too hot outside.
Well, you know what? Maybe it's better now because instead of you being at a show and having to drive through that horrible rain.
There was a week, a string of weeks at Wrestling Open where when I would drive there, everything was perfectly fine, and then on the drive back, it was just thunder, lightning, just completely pouring. And of course, I went from a four-wheel drive truck to this little tiny Kia Forte. That's great on gas, don't get me wrong, but not the best thing for thunderstorms, especially in that type of weather. So yeah, I really put it to the test though. And this happened 3 weeks in a row, no joke. I was like, what are the odds of that happening? And it was only on those Thursdays. I don't get it.
I feel like every time I go to a wrestling show, it always rains.
It's always the worst. Rain, snowstorms whenever I go up to Maine. It's just the amount of times I've driven through a snowstorm to go to a wrestling booking in Maine. It's like I wouldn't be able to count it on my hands.
Yeah, I bet. I'm sure a lot of people feel this because I'm like, damn it. I was like, it's raining again. And I was like, get caught in those rainstorms. And, I've had those moments even during the pandemic that when you had to eat outside. And I remember looking up, I forgot where I was going. And we're like, okay, we better scarf this down before it downpours. And the minute I got into my car, boom, pour.
Just start downpouring.
Yeah. I love it. Love it. Love it. Love it. So, but guys, if you're new here to the End of the Rope series here, I interview everything independent wrestling, whether it's wrestlers, referees, promoters, behind the stage. I got you covered. If you guys got questions for Brett, please feel free, drop into the chat. I'm sure he'll be more than happy to answer any of your questions. Also, make sure you hit that like button, share the button. Let's get some people in here. Let's get this party started. I already see some peeps into the chat. Justin says, boo, BRG. Damn. You're already getting heat on my pod.
It's all right. Funny people would always say that.
Brad Hollister's in the chat. What's up? Big fan of his. He says, BRG is very good. Big fan.
Aw, thanks, Brad. I appreciate that. He's really good, too. I'm a big fan of him, too.
Yeah, I gotta make that one happen, too, because I've been talking a lot about him, too. So... we'll make it happen soon, hopefully. Good cop, bad cop. What's up? How are you? You're already starting with my guest already? Okay, so we're gonna start off hot, I guess, with one of the fan questions. So he said, don't think I submitted an anagram question. So with Brett Ryan being an anagram of try banter, tell us a story when a situation came up that you could have some banter with the crowd and how it went.
Banter with a crowd and how it went. Oh, geez, I could give a really good story about this one. So a common thing, if you if you go to a wrestling show with me on it, a common thing that I tend to do is flip hats off of people's heads.
Yeah.
And no joke, I did it to one of the wrong people one time at a show. They had a little too much to drink that night. And then somehow, some way, when I came back into the locker room, they had found their way into said locker room, and it was a war of words, and they eventually got thrown out.
Oh my god.
Just over that little back and forth. What can you do? Drunk fans are drunk fans.
Oh no.
No. Obvious. No. It's totally fine. It's totally fine.
No, it's not fine though, because
Okay,
it shouldn't
yeah,
be
it's not-
happening.
The context of the situation.
No,
It's not fun. Yeah, but like this guy was like waiting outside the venue for me for when I walked out and stuff like that. Like I had to have people like escort me to my car to make sure that I didn't get like assaulted
Oh
that
my
night.
god. Jeez. I mean, I've had stories like this on this podcast. Casey Kirk, Charles Mason. We talk about how, Brandon Kirk was another one too. Like we talked about these stories on the podcast, and how the fans get like drunk. And I know Charles Mason took a drink. He grabbed the drink from the fan, and then the fan got pissed off and stormed into the back. And Brandon Kirk
There was
went
an
pig for it.
incident recently with
Yeah.
one guy, right?
Yeah, this just happened like a couple
That's-
days ago, and I'm like, this is not okay. I mean, I get it, and like, I don't want to engage into Twitter sometimes, because you never know really. So like, I try to stay positive because I am a positive person, but I am one that likes to heckle because like it's kind of like you guys are telling a story, right? Like so like you're coming out, you're being a heel. You're trying to get that reaction, but it's not like you're trying to get into a physical nasty interaction. It's like we're kind of Nikki Adams and me had that conversation. It's like we're wanting you guys, like the fans, to play with us. We're telling a story.
Yeah.
We're having fun. Like,
Don't get me wrong. Like I will defend myself if I have to, but it's like it's not the ideal situation.
Yeah.
But it's one of those funny stories that you can look back on and just like talk about and laugh about. It's like nothing to where anything major happened.
Yeah, definitely. So, oof, my goodness.
What do we start off, right?
Seriously. Jose's in the chat. He goes, good kid, lots of potential. David, what's up, David? He says Charles Mason hates cabbage. Yeah, I know. I'm responsible for the muff cabbage thing that goes on with Charles Mason, so I'm pretty bad. Or Mike Skyros, if you guys have seen that shit going on between me and him the last 2 weeks between Wrestle Open and NFW. Good cop, bad cop says heckle equals shouting #muff cabbage at wrestlers. Only Charles Mason, because he deserves it. So, but anyway, all right, let's bring this back because we're focusing on you here. So we want to learn a bit more about you. All right, so let's go back to basics, okay? Because again, some fans may know you, may not know you. So let's talk about the beginning, like how you got into wrestling.
So fun fact, I hated wrestling growing up.
Oh wow.
Really did not. So like I played hockey my whole life. So like from the age of 2, my dad, God rest his soul, he put me on skates at 2 years old, and I played up until I was about 18, like full time. And he just always told me like, oh, wrestling's stupid, it's fake, it's all this stuff. Little did I know that one day when I went over my friend's house and saw the wrestling figures just like chilling in their living room, I was like, you guys watch wrestling? That's so dumb. They're like, no, it's a lot of fun. And they started showing it to me, and it wasn't really until like 2011 when I was 13 years old where I finally like got into it. It's a funny thing. I'll tell a bunch of wrestlers this, but it's like WrestleMania 27, which is said to be like one of the worst ones in the last couple decades. That's the mania that got me into wrestling. Like kept me like made me want to be a professional wrestler, and it was strictly Edge versus Alberto Del Rio at WrestleMania 27 for the World Heavyweight Championship. First match. I was really into Edge at that point because like he's the one that like hooked me right away, and I had just started watching in January, so I only had about like 3 months to actually watch Edge because he retired like 2 weeks later. And like it was so cool because I was like 13 years old. He had like the long rock star hair. He was always throwing up the devil horns and the pyro and the sick music, which I loved. And so he was like the guy on the show, and I loved every moment of it. And I hated Del Rio more than anybody because he was attacking the arm, and I bit into this stuff so much. I have never had a greater wrestling fan reaction than when Edge came through the curtain at WrestleMania 27. I was so excited. That match is so short in hindsight, but it felt like it was 20 minutes long just because of how like stuck in the drama I was. Like, was Edge gonna tap out if Alberto Del Rio put on the cross arm breaker? Because Alberto Del Rio like attacked his arm a few weeks before that, and like he was all bandaged up. And the moment he hit the spear, I jumped out of my seat, and then I counted the pin with him. And then I was so psyched when I saw Edge and Christian like destroy Alberto Del Rio's car on the stage. It was just like the best day that I had. And the only time that I've even come close to reacting that way is when Edge returned at the 2020 Royal Rumble. And just from there, I was like, you know what? Screw this. I'm going to do this. Wow. And there was a point in high school where I got cut from hockey. And so I like started dabbling into like the independent professional wrestling scene. Started dabbling in it, starting to learn like a few things, basics. I wasn't really taking it as seriously as I would when I would eventually meet Matt Taven and Mike Bennett. So for anybody that doesn't know, those two are my like original trainers, them and Vincent, who's also from Ring of Honor. And I spent about 2 years with them, training with them, and then I would go on to train with the Lockup Wrestling Academy in Fall River, Massachusetts, who actually helped train all three of those guys. Their trainer, Ryan Drew, and at the time, Nick Steele. Sadly, Nick Steele passed away in 2020, actually right before the pandemic. But all those guys all had a helping hand in essentially making me the wrestler that I am today.
Look at that. Look at that. Man, just like how you were like describing like, how you felt in that moment with like WrestleMania 27. Like that's just how I feel personally with like the independent scene. Like I get so wrapped into, I'd rather watch the independent scene than the mainstream. I mean, that's right.
That's a lot of fans nowadays. That's the crazy thing.
It's just fun. It's just different. Like, because there's so much, which, I love about the indies, and, I'm always learning, and, that's why we have these podcasts.
There's a thing about, like, wrestling fans that they love the fact they love watching, like, people from the independents come up and grow and become who they were meant to be, and then seeing them go on to bigger and better things in, like, AEW, Impact Wrestling, Ring of Honor, WWE, any of those places. Yeah, exactly. I mean, a lot of fans take pride in the fact that they watched them when they were literally wrestling in front of 50 people.
Yeah. Well, I am definitely one of those people, so it's exciting. So, and I mean, we're episode 174, so all the people that I've interviewed on this podcast, it's fun to watch their journey of, what they're doing. I have some questions in the chat. Good Cop, Bad Cop says, did you get into any good fights at hockey?
All the time. If anybody thinks that I'm a hothead now, just imagine how I was in hockey. Like, I had no problem. Like, I was a bit smaller than I am now. And by that, I mean, like, 50 pounds lighter. Like, I was a really skinny kid when I played hockey. And I was always the one that was, like, mucking it up in the boards, trying to get the puck out of the boards. But I was always getting hit. So, like, I was, like, there was one time where my coach described to me, I was about 17. I got hit so hard that he thought that I actually broke my neck.
Oh, wow.
But I literally popped right back up and went back to playing.
Jeez.
Like, I did full 360 in the air.
Right. Oh, my goodness.
I spun out, and he thought I was done. And then I just popped right back up and kept playing.
Oh, my God. Jeez.
So, but then, I would always, like, if anybody, like, wonders where I get my trash talking from, it's because I was always that guy on the bench that was always, like, talking smack the entire time.
Look at
the
that.
entire game. Because, like, hell, I was in middle school. I remember my coach was just like, there's nothing wrong with trash talk. Just, like, make fun of the kid. Mess with him psychologically. And I kind of took that into my wrestling game.
Look at that. Look at that. It's always something that brings it into and wraps it all together. I love that. That's so awesome. Good Cop says Brett getting those 5-minute penalties.
Yeah, no, I did. I was ejected from games before. It was a lot of just like smack talk. So there was always like this really cheap thing that I did on the ice. So if a guy was like faster than me, and not for nothing, I was pretty fast.
Yeah.
But if he was faster than me, there's like a tail on the back of hockey pants.
Yeah, yeah.
That if you just like if you put your hockey stick like straight down, like horizontal down on the back of it, you can make the other player like skid out.
Oh my god.
So I would always do that and then pick up the puck and score right after that. And like people would hate me. And there was one time where I just hated the other team so much that I literally scored a goal and then ran across the other team's bench, high-fiving them as I went to my own bench to high-five my teammates. And my coach was not happy about that one.
Shame.
My dad loved it. My dad loved it. He thought it was hilarious, but yeah, no.
Terrible. Zach in the chat says indies over TV wrestling. David wants to know, what's your top 3 indie talent who you'd like to step into the ring with?
Oh, jeez. That's like just a vast... man. There's one person that I think of, and like I just want to solely do this because we both have like a lot of TikTok followers, and that's this kid Jack Tomlinson.
Oh yeah.
He's somebody that I would like to wrestle.
I was just
so we can have the Twitter beat with a TikTok game and stuff like that. Who's some other people?
I'm dying because I just had that conversation with Cody literally a couple of hours ago. We were just talking about that.
The big thing is like my trainers, even though like Taven and Bennett are doing their Impact stuff, but they're still doing like indie bookings now, and there was an opportunity at one point that I could have, but I'm not gonna name names, but somebody messed that up.
Yeah.
But Taven and Bennett are both guys that are on my bucket list to wrestle. I'm trying to think of anybody else that just like springs to mind. Someone I want to wrestle because we wrestled years ago, but haven't really done it since is Alec Price. He's like found a whole new stride since we've wrestled that one time, and I feel I'm a completely different wrestler than when we wrestled the last time, which was like I think 2019. So if we could run that back again, that'd be great.
Run it back, promoters. Let's go. All right, so let's talk about this again. There's people that coming in here, or they're listening later, never saw you before. Obviously, I've seen you, but obviously, I have my own opinions of matches that you have. But I know you guys are very hard on yourself. A lot of times, things that I like that you might not like. What's the go-to match that they should tune into to become an instant fan of yours?
There's a match that I'm really proud of recently, and that's with Juice Robinson from Northeast Wrestling. Juice Robinson wrestles for New Japan Pro Wrestling. For anybody that doesn't know, he was in NXT back in like 2015 as CJ Parker. He is currently wrestling for the IWGP United States Heavyweight Championship, if I recall correctly. But that was just so fun doing everything leading up into it. The promo that I got to do for that, the wrestling being the opening match, getting as great of a reaction as I did. Juice moves very differently than a lot of people that I've been in the ring with. He also has a very different style as opposed to a lot of people that I've wrestled because he works in Japan and stuff like that. It's just, I don't know, there's something about that match that just makes me really proud. Like, you don't, like, those moments where you feel like, okay, like, I really do have something, like, I can keep running with this because I was just in the ring with somebody who is internationally known as an amazing wrestler. And I held up, which was the best part.
Awesome. Definitely check that out. Really, really good. So, all
Yeah,
right.
High Spots Wrestling Network, just for anybody that knows.
Yes.
It is Return of the Hardys on Northeast Wrestling.
Look at that.
It's the first match.
There you
Yep.
go. Look it up. Definitely. I love the fact that we have all these different kind of apps that we go watch wrestling all over the place. It's so great.
Absolutely.
All right, let's go in hot. Let's talk Wrestling Open. All right, let's talk Stetson Ranch. Let's talk. People are saying Clip Clop is the star of the show here. Tell the people how this came about. Some of your favorite moments. Anything that comes to mind.
Oh my god, So I hated it at first. I was told about this and I was like, oh man, why? I'm resistant to change at first, and then once I started putting my mind to it, I realized I could make this so much fun for myself.
Mm-hmm.
Stetson, he pays a lot of money, so I'm gonna be a cowboy. I'm gonna have as much fun. I watch plenty of westerns. I think I know how cowboys work for the most part, but Clip Clop, for anybody that doesn't know, I literally mentioned him in my first ever promo coming out of Sheriff BRG. I brought it all full circle. I had this all planned out. I knew I was going to introduce something brand new every single week because I needed to. I mean, hell, I come out to a SpongeBob song, and here I am coming out to with a SpongeBob shirt with Patrick on it as a cowboy, and on the back, SpongeBob and Patrick as a cowboy. Literally, Rich Palladino didn't know I was going to wear that shirt, and after he introduced me, he just goes into my ear and just goes, "That shirt makes it." And then when I introduced Clip Clop, I had to make it as big a deal as it is. The curtain opened, I walked through and just walked right back through and introduced the true star of the show. The fact that I got the tumbleweed going across my graphic
Oh my
now
God.
is the best
You
part.
saw that, right? I tweeted at you. I was like, the tumbleweed.
There are, just so everybody knows, there is more to come with the Stetson Ranch, with Clip Clop, with everything. My ideas have been flowing for weeks now on what else I can do with Clip Clop, because obviously he is beloved by the fans.
Yep.
But at the end of the day, I have to keep it serious when I need to. I mean, I just wrestled former WWE superstar Thomas Santel. He's a master technician, looks at wrestling in a completely different light than I ever have. So in a situation like that, I have to leave the fun and games for a second and know that I am in the ring with somebody that is he could stretch me if he really wanted to. So I'll leave it at that.
So good. And it's more fun in person. So if you guys haven't gone, I mean, when I was there, I was like, oh my God, it's this is what I love about going to wrestling shows. And I think one of the best things for me personally is seeing you guys have fun with it, right? You're all in with it, and I appreciate that when wrestlers are having fun, even if you're staying into a heel character, it just shows very big, in a very big way. So thank you for.
I'm still waiting for Clip Clop versus Bobby Jr. By the way, let's just make that clear.
Let's do it.
I tweeted it out, and I have no problem with that match happening.
Oh, it's funny.
Clip Clop is ready to sign the papers for that match.
See, there you go. So wait, so now we have to capitalize on this. Are you going to make little Clip Clops? I feel like this would be a thing, or pins, or little stuffed animals.
So I have been thinking about introducing, selling little deputy badges at my merch table, but I have to know if there's an audience for it.
Yeah.
If people are actually going to buy them before I go out and say it. So now, there's an open platform to tell me if you want to buy them, feel free. Let me know.
I'm
Just
for
tweet
it.
at me. Let me know.
I'm for it. I want one.
Okay, so there's one.
There you go. Zach's in the chat. He goes, "Oh my God, am I just ahead of the stream?" Yeah, you pretty much are. Are you seeing the future? Because he put it out before you even said it about Clip Clop versus Bobby Jr. Awesome. Captain Dave, what's going on? How are you? Thanks for coming on in. All right. So I know I talked to you this before, before air. So we're going to talk about it now. We're going to talk Limitless Wrestling. Okay. So I know I told you the story, but just so anybody who doesn't know the story, there was a company that longer exists that if you've been following me for years, you know all about it or whatever. John Alba reached out to me because it was very upsetting for me, and he reached out to me and he had told me that he's been working with Limitless, that he thought I would really enjoy it. And this was even during the pandemic and everything. And that's when I started watching Limitless. And I found people like Love Doug. And we talked about that on his interview. So if you want to check out that interview, we can talk about that. John Alba's been on this podcast as well. So let's talk Limitless. Let's talk about being prestigious and like some of your favorite moments. And I'm so excited that I'm finally coming up to my first Limitless show on the 28th.
I'm very excited that you get to experience that for the first time. I had a friend that came up recently. He and I both went to Quinnipiac together, and he experienced it for the first time. And this guy was just in awe at everything going around him. Speaking of Quinnipiac, that's how I know John Alba originally. That's how we initially became like friends, because I sat in class my freshman year. John had graduated about, I want to say, a year before I went into Quinnipiac. And I was sitting in class, and my professor was literally talking about John Alba, and I had just been on a show with him. And I was like, wait a minute, that John Alba that I was just on a show with? What the heck? So that's how I found out he went to Quinnipiac, and we just, like, it just kind of, we've always had this running joke, like Bobcats for life. But prestigious, yeah. That came up during the pandemic, surprisingly. Like, me and Channing had done like one show for Limitless before the pandemic, but it was like, I want to say 2018, 2019. We had just started teaming at that point, and really the only place that we were going to be able to team was at Limitless during the road tapings, and then during the first match that we ever did on the pay-per-views was the Vacation Land Cup in 2020, which after that, John Alba's mind started running and the gears started turning, and next thing you know, like, he comes to us talking about, pairing us with Mac Daniels and everything like that. And we just thought, okay, we were the Prestige at that point, me and Channing. Let's just, when we add Mac Daniels to it, it's prestigious. It's kind of like the same idea with the Outsiders still being in the NWO, even though it's like a group with them and Hogan.
Right.
That was the whole thinking behind it. The best moment, by far, that we ever had was the first show back from the pandemic. Patience is a Virtue. The whole card was anonymous, so nobody knew who was going to come out. Nobody knew who was going to wrestle. The day before that, Anthony Green had just gotten released from WWE. The day before this show, he had gotten released.
Yeah.
And so we came up with the idea of messing with the fans a little bit, and we decided to come out to AG's music. And if for anybody that knows Limitless Wrestling, they know that Anthony Green is beloved in Limitless Wrestling. So to see videos back of people jumping for joy when they hear his music and then immediately get deflated as soon as we walk through the curtain. And I remember Channing specifically telling me, Brett, you need to walk through first because you have that shit-eating grin that's just going to piss everybody off. And I'm like, you are definitely right about that. So I walk through the curtain, and I'm just, like, having the time of my life because I know I just pissed so many people off. And that moment still resonates to this day because, hell, my last match that I had in Limitless, instead of streamers, I got toilet paper thrown at me. So I take that as I am the shit. I know I am, and the fans are just, endorsing that fact.
Yeah. It's so great. See, that's how you get heat, okay? That is how you get heat. I love it. I love it. Justin Del Rio, what's going on? He goes, what's up, bro? He's like, what's up? How are ya? So awesome. So awesome. Too funny. Well, it's funny. John Alba sent in a fan tweet for you. He said, very excited for Brett to share roast stories of us making towns, enjoying laughs, kicking Channing Thomas out of groups, and much more.
Yeah. I wish he ran that by me before we decided to do it, but whatever. It's okay. It's okay. I trust John. Like I said, I knew, like, my professors in college were telling me how smart he was. I mean, the dude wanted at me for crying out loud. I mean, I can trust his judgment on that one.
So no fun stories you want to share with us?
I mean, I just shared a bunch of fun stories. I mean, I remember seeing John jump for joy when we won our first match. It was prestigious. When we debuted the pedestal, which is still the gnarliest trios move ever. I don't care what anybody says. A rocket launcher doomsday device, which, by the way, was my idea. Still the sickest move ever. I'm gonna miss not doing that move. That's the only thing. Unless we get another third member. John, I hope you're doing, starting to, call up some people. Any replacements you have in mind for Channing.
Yeah. Oh, man. Love it. Love it, love it, love it. Again, looking forward to next weekend. All right, so let's talk NFW, which has become a big home for me, big home on the indie wrestling corner. So, I mean, one match I want to talk about definitely is Christian Robinson. Love him to death. Like, again, if you guys not sure, interviewed him. You can check out that interview as well. Great guy. So talk to us a little bit about working him, little Mr. Flippy shit over there.
So him and I both have very contrasting styles. I'm very much more grounded, as opposed to him, who's very, as you said. The funny thing about Christian is I was his first ever tag match. Ever.
Wow.
When he first started. So in between that and the match that we had recently, we had never seen each other up until that point.
Right.
That's the crazy thing. So to come back, kind of like bring it full circle, it's kind of cool how much he's grown since that match. He's got like his different. How do I want to say this? He's got a very different perspective on wrestling than he did during that match that he does now, and I think that's cool to see how much he's grown. I still won, by the way. Let's just make that clear. I still won because I still am the superior wrestler, no matter what anybody says. I may be grounded and I may be quote unquote boring, like some people say, but first off, not true. I'm entertaining as all hell, and second, I'm a master tactician. There's a reason I do the things that I do. It's either to get in my opponent's heads or it's just to mess with them. Either one is great.
So good. Heel Pops and Chair Shots, what's going on? How are ya? Thanks for the love. All right, so you're also currently the NCW champion, where you defeated Lumberjake. Talk to us a little bit about the experience. What should we expect going forward? All that fun stuff.
So I'm actually the victorious BRG heavyweight champion. If anybody knows, I threw that belt out in the NCW belt in the trash because that is the first ever heavyweight title I ever won. And that was back in 2018 when I was under a completely different name, which was Todd Harris, which we, just kind of ixnay that name away. But I lost it and won it from Anthony Green in the same day. Who else? I was a 4-time champion. It's escaping me where the second loss came from. It's really tough because I don't remember losing that much. I kind of just block that out of my head because it really doesn't happen often, but when it does, just away with it. But yeah, no, I mean, the time that I lost it, the third time that I lost it, which ridiculous, I got screwed. The commissioner or the president at the time, I forget. He's gone. He's long gone now, so I really don't want to remember his name. But he pushed me into the finishing move of the match and then counted the pin by himself. So that was ridiculous. I lost the belt, and then I stole the belt because it was rightfully mine. Right. And then when I had an opportunity to win it in the Rumble, I literally lasted 44 minutes in that Rumble, and then Lumberjake just comes in and whatever, just beats me, whatever, it was a fluke. And I proved that when I won the belt back in November. In November, and now I'm going to face former prestigious member Channing Thomas coming up very soon, and I'm going to be facing him for the title.
Awesome, awesome, awesome. Love it. So let's have some like fun chats here. So let's talk about TikTok, okay?
Oh,
Since you talked
Jesus.
about it. All right. So hey, listen, I feel like I'm old, so like like whatever. I like to just watch like TikTok. I put up a couple little clips, but
Yep.
as you like to say, you're TikTok famous, right? So
Yeah, a little bit. Got a little bit of a
just
following.
a little bit, just a little bit. So hopefully we get this match with you and Jack also, down the line. So how do you come up with some of your videos? What are your favorite videos? Maybe you want to give some tips for those people out there that try to get TikTok famous.
Jeez, if you're gonna do that, just go with the trend. Honestly, like half the time I'm just going with trends. I find sounds that are funny, and I don't tell my girlfriend about them, so I just kind of like play them in front of her and just get her reaction. She's very over the top with a lot of her reactions, just in general, as just a regular human being. So when I catch her with some of these videos, like one of them, the reaction was so good that I got 19. What's it at right now? Because it still keeps going up. It's at 19.2 million
Wow.
views. And TikTok is cool. It is a nice little extra bit of income for me, a little extra spending money, which is always good. The follower, so it's so funny. Half my followers are also my girlfriend's followers because they just like, that's the thing. I very much play into the couples niche of TikTok because there is a following for that. A lot of people complain that, oh my God, why am I single on TikTok, especially on all our comment section, which I always think is funny. It's just like, yeah, you'll find the right person eventually. Mine just helps me make all these videos. It's a lot of fun. Sometimes it can be stressful. Like she gets like a lot of brand deals and stuff like that, so she gets like deadlines to post these TikToks, and half the time I have to be in them. and granted, they're funny. I like to make it as fun as possible. Like there's one video that a company literally uses as an example now, where I just react to all the different clothes that the company sent her. So I just react to every outfit that she put on, and I just went over the top with it. Like I'm walking in with championship belts and using my like $300 lightsaber in the video. If you go look at her page, you'll find it. Trust me, it's
There you go. We're plugging it so you guys can like go follow it, and so you can go buy some like coffees or whatever it is. I love it. All right, I'm bringing back a question that I haven't used in the podcast in a while, and it's fun. What's the craziest thing a fan's done to get your attention?
Oh, jeez. I mean, there's this guy that shows up. I see him a lot at Top Rope Promotions shows. This guy makes the best signs I have ever seen. And I remember when I won the Interstate Championship from Channing Thomas. It seems like our careers are just intertwined at this point. When I won the Interstate Championship from Channing Thomas, there is just this big sign, and it just says "Sweet Victory," and it's SpongeBob from the Bubble Bowl episode just printed out on that sign, and he's lifting it. And I remember I grabbed that sign immediately, held it up with the title and everything. It was a very fun moment. Fans like that put in the time and effort to make signs, just like they'll have my heart forever because they don't need to do that, but they take the time and effort to do it.
It's a good time. My signs always get ripped up all the time, though. Always.
There's sometimes where I feel like fans want me to rip a sign, so I don't do it. Because that is what's gonna like piss them off even more if I don't rip their sign.
I just keep bringing them back if they don't get ripped, but most of the time my shit gets ripped, so it's like it's all good. Again, like if anybody that watched this week, my sign got ripped up, and I got so many tweets at me that Mike Skyros ripped my sign. Like,
why would he do that to you?
Well, like Kygo was a little bit of a, excuse my French, a bitch.
So you egged him on. Is what you're
I egged him on because I brought on the whole sunshine, lollipops, and rainbows, and if you know, you know. Like one of those moments. See, he knows. He knows. He gets it. He feels Mike's pain for me because, like, I threw him off that the city girl in at a Jersey show knew about upstate New York. So yeah, so I am a little bit of an antagonizer, but it's all good fun, right?
It's all good fun. It's all good fun.
So, well, speaking with that, all right, let's go with one of my favorite things I like to talk about on this podcast is wrestling with positivity, right? There's so much negative. We see so much negative in the world of wrestling, so I like to focus on the positive. So, is there anything that you could think of that comes to mind that you could share with us that, again, a fan wouldn't really know about unless you tell this story? I've been fortunate enough between, doing this podcast and befriending with a lot of wrestlers. So I see stories, I hear stories, something maybe like a fan's done for you, you've done for a fan, maybe a wrestler's done for you, or maybe something you've done for a wrestler that, we wouldn't hear about that you can share.
So it's so weird because I don't really like talking what happens behind the scenes, but I can tell you one thing that it's wild, but it's going to start off a little morbid. But so my dad passed away in 2017. And I remember just you lose a parent, anybody that knows, you just deflate. You're stressed from all the grief and everything along those lines. And for anybody that knows me now, they know that I am a huge Macho Man Randy Savage fan. Die hard. I have 10 t-shirts of just Macho Man Randy Savage. I have so much. I bought the DVD box set as soon as I found it. It's so crazy to me that years later, even after he's been dead, Macho Man really brought me up. He really made me just watching his matches, watching his promos, really studying him. It just brought a lot of it made me happy because I would just always quote him. I would always talk in the Macho Man voice. I would always do stuff like that, and every time I did it, just made me smile. So for the past, I want to say how long has it been since 2017? Jesus, so my math is always bad. 5 years. So it's been 5 years, and it's so wild. It's between that and then just kind of looking back on your nostalgia, and then also meeting other wrestlers that have those same interests and nostalgia for you. I rode with the Brick City Boys up to Let's Wrestle a couple weeks ago, and I don't remember how it started, but next thing you know, we're listening to Sonic the Hedgehog songs on the way back from Let's Wrestle. It was a 5-hour drive. So we're just every song you can think of from the Sonic franchise, Live and Learn from Sonic Adventure 2 Battle. I played a lot of Sonic growing up.
Right.
So I loved all those songs. So we're just playing them all through that. And then it went into Power Rangers. Anybody else knows me? I love the Power Rangers. My gear has been inspired by the Power Rangers before. Preferably my last set of gear, my white and green tights, those were based off of the white Dino Thunder Ranger from Power Rangers Dino Thunder. I grew up watching a lot of Power Rangers, so we were listening to Power Rangers theme songs, and just every single time you get to reminisce on your childhood with a bunch of people that you love to hang out with. Those are the best moments in my opinion. Just reliving nostalgia, finding out why they were such fans of everything. Talking with Jay Lethal a little bit recently about Macho Man Randy Savage, because I so brought that up when I talked to him, because I was wearing a Macho Man Randy Savage shirt during his seminar, and then I changed into a Macho Man Randy Savage shirt, completely different one, after my match. It's just those things that you can talk about. And then my girlfriend got me a Star Wars Macho Man shirt, which is Macho Man Randy Savage on the poster of the original Star Wars movie. And in the background, instead of Darth Vader, it's Hulk Hogan, and he's got Miss Elizabeth by his side too. It's great. But it's just, those are the best parts about wrestling, in my
Yeah.
opinion, because a lot of us are just like nerds at heart.
Yeah.
But we get to reminisce about our childhoods and what made those little franchises fun.
But that's fun. Like, again, like these are things that we wouldn't hear about that, that are just so fun to like hear those stories and, the behind the scenes just a little bit, like obviously
Yeah.
kayfabe, whatever. But like, it's fun to hear like the fun, the nice stories out there to filter through all the bad that we see too, right?
Yep.
Pretty much so. All right. So let's also talk a little bit about like some goals. I mean, most of the time, like when we talk to anybody that comes on here, long-term goal, AEW, WWE, whatever it is, New Japan, whatever it is, the goal is, we've also seen a little bit, like with you with, backstage, whether it was like AEW or WWE, maybe you want to share some of those experiences, with us.
It's cool. It was really cool, especially this past Monday. I got to see some people that I haven't seen in years. One of them being Austin Theory. Me and him used to be on a lot of the same shows back in, I want to say 2018, 2019, right before he got signed. And like we used to we would play like WWE 2K19 together, and we would play that stuff together. And so like when I saw him, I like in my mind I always think that I'm a nobody. And so like when I go to see somebody and he like instantly remembered me, like granted, like you would hope he would remember me after everything I had just explained, but he was just so cool because we got to catch up a little bit, and this dude's on freaking Monday Night Raw, and he's the United States champion and all this, and Vince McMahon's like endorsing him on TV. It's cool to like still be able that he's still so humble, and the fact that he doesn't forget the people that like he came up with.
Yeah.
Another cool thing, I got to talk to him a little bit just about some like future bookings that I'm going to be doing later on this summer. Just people that he used to work for, and I got to ask a little bit about them, and nothing but reassured me that it's a great opportunity for me.
Right.
So I'm looking forward to that. And then I also got to see a couple other people that I haven't seen in a really long time, and just experiencing that backstage like environment, how fun it is, how like everyone's smiling, having fun, like they're enjoying their job. That's a good and reassuring feeling to know that I want to take this as my career, because I hate a 9-to-5 job. It's the most boring thing in the world. So I would love to wrestle for the rest of my life, and just being in those environments it's just a very reassuring feeling that I'm doing the right thing.
Right. I love to hear that. That's like, that's so like, heartful, like, oh, I love that very, very much.
And for anybody wondering, the catering is that good.
Well, okay, so is there anything particular that you're like, damn, like I need that like right now? Like,
all right. So Channing and Babes and Curls and I all very much agreed that there was like these cinnamon toast crunch bites that were at catering on this past weekend. And they were amazing. Like the best thing I literally grabbed 5 of them and just brought them right back to my table, and I was like, okay, well, there goes the diet for the rest of the day.
Okay, you know what? I'm actually writing this down because Waves and Girls are coming on Wednesday, so I'm making a note so I bring it up.
Oh yeah.
All right, cool. So I made a note. So obviously you guys saw like Waves and Curls are coming on Wednesday, so we're gonna talk about this cinnamon. I love it. So we'll definitely talk with them about that. So that's so awesome. It's like I'm so excited when like I see you guys, like, whether again it's AEW, WWE, it's so awesome to watch your guys' journey. It's really, really neat. So let's talk about things you like to do outside of the squared circle.
Well, obviously TikTok is one of them. That's something that it's just a lot of fun for me and my girlfriend to do. I spend a lot of time with my girlfriend and my dogs. I got 2 dogs, Lance and Charlie. I nicknamed them because they both have names that I could definitely nickname them after wrestlers. So I call Lance Storm sometimes, and then I call Charlie Haas. The funny thing is that another nickname for Charlie is Chuck. So sometimes I'll call him Chuck Paul Lumbo. Just stupid stuff like that.
Yeah.
But I play a lot of video games. I I like playing Fortnite with a lot of my friends online, and half the time they're wrestling friends, so I just talk wrestling with them the
Yeah.
entire time. What else do I do? I'm not really interesting besides wrestling.
Aww.
No, I shouldn't say that. I
Yeah.
mean, like, I like playing a lot of like older video games too. Like literally in front of me right now is like a Super Nintendo and a PlayStation 2. PlayStation 2 was like my first console ever, so like I love playing the games from my childhood, specifically Sly Cooper.
Yeah.
Sly 2 Band of Thieves, my favorite game of all time. Um, what else? Hockey. Hockey.
Yeah,
I
hockey.
love watching hockey. I'm a diehard Montreal Canadiens fan. For anybody that doesn't know and is from New England, well, I already know they hate me. Drew Cordero actually called me out, and because I wore a Montreal Canadiens sweatshirt with a Montreal Canadiens shirt underneath to Wrestling Open one week. And we're in Worcester, Massachusetts, not that far from Boston, for crying out loud. And anybody that doesn't know, Boston and Montreal, heated rivals. Like, they've been heated rivals for decades now. And so, yeah, not the best place to be wearing that stuff. But as anybody who's known me knows that I am a natural antagonist. So, yeah, it started at an early age when I was, like, making fun of my friends because the Bruins lost the Canadiens in the playoff series. Like, it was fun stuff like that. Yeah, diehard Montreal Canadiens fan. Last year, awesome. They made it to the Stanley Cup Finals and then lost to those cheating Tampa Bay Lightning. And then this past year, they clinched the 32nd place in the NHL, which, for anyone that doesn't know, that's dead last. So it was... Not all around a rough season. They finally fired their GM, which I've been saying they should do for years now. Last year was finally like the first time Mark Bergevin did anything for the Canadiens organization. Because there were times where I'd wake up in the middle of the night. Like, my friend was a Vegas Golden Knights fan, and like I said, diehard Montreal Canadiens fan, and we're roommates at this time. And one of like the top players from Montreal at the time, Max Pacioretty, got traded to the Vegas Golden Knights, and I woke up and it's 2:00 in the morning, and I see this, and I woke my roommate up and just said, "What the hell?" Ended up being a decent enough trade, because we got Nick Suzuki for it. But man, like this stuff just. Hockey is like the only real thing that I keep track of besides wrestling, in all honesty.
That's awesome. Tony in the chat says, knew from the first time I saw you wrestle that you were going places. You were a class act.
I appreciate that. Some people would say otherwise, but I really appreciate you saying that.
Oh, nothing but love here, okay? Nothing but love.
I appreciate it. 'Cause some people think that I'm like not a nice guy because they've seen me wrestle and how I am in wrestling. And they don't realize that like I can be a good person. You just have to really like dig down deep and find it.
Oh man, I always tell everybody that just because you're playing a character, that doesn't mean that you're not a good person or whatever like that. People take it way too serious. It's just a character. So people are just really good at playing a heel, and you know, I get shit sometimes for favoring the heels, and it's like, but they're so nice. Like, like, come on now. So, anyway. All right. So I have two final questions for you. If you guys have anything else, drop it into the chat. Again, love it. So, I mean, obviously, you know, we talked like end goals, obviously, you know, we all hear the same thing, you know, but, you know, we're still in 2022. You know, what are some goals of 2022 for you?
Goals of 2022, just keep on this momentum that I've been riding. I've been fortunate enough to work for the top places in the Northeast right now. Northeast Wrestling, Limitless Wrestling, Beyond Wrestling, just some that come to mind. I'm champion at my home promotion, Top Rope Promotions. And I'm having a blast being able to get all these opportunities of going backstage. The one thing that I want to do more, though, this year is just travel outside New England. New England, it's awesome. Yeah, I love it. But it's like I need to travel more. And right now, there looks to be an opportunity to be doing that, but I'm not going to set it in stone just yet and jinx myself. But I am looking forward to possibly traveling outside of New England to, like, more centralized area of America right now.
Yeah.
And hell, if I can work in Canada too, there's a lot of great promotions. I grew up going to Canada all the time, Quebec mostly. So and by the way, I don't speak a lick of French. That was fun. Anybody that knows Canada knows Quebecers only speak French. But I would love to wrestle in Canada, even if it's at least once. Obviously,
Right.
I want to do it more times, but if I could do it by the end of the year,
Yeah,
that'd be
that'd be
sick
great.
too.
See, this is why I always tell people, like, put it out there. Like, if you want to see people,
Mm-hmm.
throw it out on social media. Tag those promotions you want to see people. It works. I mean,
Yeah.
like, things happen on this podcast. I see it all the time, like, wrestlers come in, they talk trash, and then matches happen because of the podcast. But
Yeah.
same thing. I think of matches, I put it out on Twitter. Sometimes they get bitten into. I mean, me and Dustin Waller were just talking about them and Miracle Generation versus Waves and Curls, and they just announced it today, Beyond Wrestling. So
Mm-hmm.
you don't know, like, put it out into existence, So
Mm-hmm.
I always tell people to do that. So, all right, so we have a lot of fans that I like to end off on a good note. So for those fans out there, whether that they want to get into wrestling or whether they started training or maybe any kind of advice that you can give for those inspired or amateur wrestlers out there?
Okay. If you're gonna, so first off, leave your ego at the door. I wish I did that early on. Just leave it at the door. This is gonna be a really challenging business, and there's gonna be times where you're gonna be like, why did I do this? But it's for the right reasons. My trainer always says, wrestling rewards those who stick around. And I remember just like, there's been times where I'm like, it stinks. But then you get these awesome opportunities to work awesome people.
Right.
The best way to get on people's good side, don't be afraid to help out. Go to shows, even if they're 3 hours away. Go to shows, help out, show your face so that the promoter can see you and you can possibly get an opportunity. You may not always get one, but it's a great way to get your foot in the door, especially in a lot of these companies that you say you want to work for one day. It's how I got half of my bookings. It works. You just have to be able to put the hard work and time into it.
It's great advice. Great advice. So I know a lot of people that look for the advice at the end of this podcast. So definitely some great advice for those people out there. So, so let's talk about what's coming up. So we have a beautiful announcement, actually. So we can announce it here onto this podcast. So I'm going to put it up on the screen for you guys right here. So NFW, shout out to Cody. Much love. He's letting us announce it here on the Indie Wrestling Corner that you are coming back August 5th at Summer Haze. So you are the first announced talent on this card right now. So
it's a great way to start off announcements, just saying.
Yeah. So here it is. So definitely check it out. Will be on IWTV. You can buy tickets. They just went on sale today. So definitely come out, come bother us. I'll be there. I'll be harassing people. Maybe I'll harass Brett. I don't know. Maybe we'll see. It depends. We'll see how. It depends. I don't know. We'll see what kind of side that you get on with me. Maybe it'll be good. Maybe I'll make some signs that you can rip. I don't know.
Like I said, I'm not gonna rip them.
Maybe I'll make a nice one and then you'll just rip it to rip it.
Man, you're putting me in a conflicting spot.
Careful, because then I start buying plushie dolls and then I start throwing them at the talents.
Jesus, what the?
AKA
That's a new one.
cabbage. Well, no, we have the muff cabbage thing that's going on. No, that's all good fun. All good fun. So, but is there anything else coming up that that you could tell us to come check out?
I mean, there's a lot of awesome events going on this summer. Obviously, you can find me at Limitless Wrestling. You can find me at Wrestling Open. For the most part, I'm there almost. I like to wrestle there a lot, so you may see me every Thursday, you may not. We will find out. It's really card is subject to change every single week there. Beyond Wrestling has an awesome show coming up soon where it's Beyond Wrestling versus Wrestling Open. So if you really love Wrestling Open and you're not the biggest fan of Beyond, come and support Team Wrestling Open because, hoping that I get to represent them. Me and Clop are hoping we get to represent them in that. Northeast Wrestling is going to be having a couple shows this summer in the New Jersey and New York area, and they're featuring the Hardy Boys on there, as well as guys like Matt Taven and a lot of other of your favorite wrestlers that you may have been wanting to meet for the first time but haven't had the chance to. If you're in the Northeast area, those are shows that a lot of people love to make it out to. I mean, we have Malachi Black at the June 18th show in Six Flags, New Jersey, which those shows are so much fun because the wrestlers get to ride rides before the show and we get to go out and wrestle in front of a packed house. If you haven't been to one of those shows yet, I highly recommend going to them, especially if you're in the Northeast area. And like I said, check out Wrestling Open. Check out Limitless Wrestling. If you're in Massachusetts area, come and check out Top Rope Promotions. I mean, it's a lot of fun, very family-friendly events. We are in multiple different areas when it comes to doing shows. Brockton, Fall River, and New Bedford. Whenever it comes to your neck of the woods, please definitely take a look out for them. You got guys like me, Channing Thomas, Little Mean Kathleen, all people that, you know, train there. Have been working hard. That's essentially where a lot of the stars start.
Yeah.
That's where Taven started. That's where Bennett started. That's where Vincent started. It's like, essentially, as I mentioned earlier, you want to see the indie wrestlers when they're like in front of the smaller crowds before they get on TV. That's a great place to check out too.
Definitely. Again, that's why we love the indies here. So found a lot of you guys on it, and I'll just continue to support and put you guys out there because I love you guys so much. It's so awesome to see. I saw GoPro was putting on that their bucket list was to work one of the Northeast Wrestling at Six Flags that they're working it, so they're so excited for that. So shout out to GoPro. Happy for you guys. Love you guys very much over there. So but yeah, tell everybody where they could like follow you on the, you know, the socials again.
On the socials medias. You can just find it's very easy. Victorious, not notorious, Victorious _BRG. Find me on Instagram, find me on Twitter, and find me on TikTok. If you're looking for me on Facebook, don't send me a friend request because half the time I never answer them. But it's Brett Gosselin. If you ever want to follow my career, that's the easiest way to find me on Facebook. And then, like I said, Victorious _BRG for Twitter, Instagram, and TikTok.
And buy the merch. All those links.
And buy the merch.
All those links are in the description below. So if you don't want to type it out, you can click it. I got you covered into that aspect. So, but I'm really looking forward to seeing you again. Like again, I'm trying to come up more to the New England scene. It is hot. I mean, obviously I go to Jersey or New York a lot. So I've been making my way up to, you know, Massachusetts a lot. Again, Limitless. I'll be there. I'm so excited. It's been a bucket list for me since before the pandemic. So I was kind of pissed when the pandemic happened because I was like, I'm making Beyond and Limitless. So within the next couple of weeks, Beyond and Limitless is going to be crossed off my bucket list because I will physically be there. And I will be at Wrestling Open this Thursday. So maybe I'll be causing some trouble. So
Maybe.
Maybe we'll see. So
Don't make me have to rip up a sign.
No, we want some, like, you know, pins and plushies and all that stuff like that. So make that happen. So, but Brett, thank you so much for coming on here and chatting with us. So it's such a pleasure chatting with you.
This has been a lot of fun, honestly. Like it's been a good time getting to answer all these questions. And maybe sound egotistical, but I like talking about myself sometimes. No shame in that.
No shame.
It's cool to share a lot of my experiences and some things that fans may have never known about me.
Yeah, well, we appreciate that here. So, guys, thank you so much for hanging out with us. Thank you for all your questions. Thanks for supporting. I love you all so much. Tune in Wednesday. We're going to talk with Waves and Curls, so get your questions ready. It's going to be a party. I don't know, maybe there'll be some streamers. We'll see. So, but anyway, guys, stay safe, support independent wrestling, and I'll talk to you guys soon. Have a good night.